Hi ladies, so today I'm going to be filming for the Urban Decay versus the Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer battle. So let's see which one's going to do. I'm putting Urban Decay on this side and Wet n Wild on this side. So let's see who wins this battle. So I'm going to apply some of this here. By the way, I do love Urban Decay. I love this primer, but I also love, I need my mirror, the Wet n Wild primer. It's amazing, ladies, and it's drugstore and it's less than $5. I know I paid a pretty good penny for my Urban Decay. I think it was like $20 or so, or something like that. So Wet n Wild's gonna go on this side, and of course they almost have the same texture as far as like the creaminess of them, but for some reason I feel like the Wet n Wild has more of a it's kind of sticky as to the Urban Decay. Okay, ladies, so I apply Urban Decay to this side and I apply Wet n Wild to this side. Let's see how they both work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Tarteist Pro palette. Ladies, so I'm checking in, and well, Ethan, what time is it? 5:30. And so far, I'm closing my eyes so that way you can see the eyeshadow. Everything's holding up pretty well. So don't forget, this is Wet n Wild and this is Urban Decay. Hi ladies, so I'm checking in and it's approximately 8:35 and I have had the primers on for about 6 hours now. I checked out for the first time about 2:30, 2:45, and so far Wet n Wild is definitely holding up with the Urban Decay side. So that says a lot about this less than $5 primer. I love it. So just to let you ladies know, I have really oily lids. Like I get oily in my T-zone, and then my eyelids, for some reason or another, it gets crazy. And then it gets worse when I have my allergies. As you can see, the eyeshadow has held up really, really well. So I'm loving the Wet n Wild, ladies. But as you can see here, it's hand in hand. Hi ladies, so I'm checking in for the end of the night and it's 10:39. I've had the, oops, did you see that? It's 10:39 and I've had the primers on for over 8 hours now. So I'm going to close my eyes here and talk. So as you can see here, this was the Urban Decay side. This was the Wet n Wild side. The eyeshadow has definitely stayed in place with both primers. My oils have not penetrated through. I have to say, ladies, that for my final thoughts and review on these two primers is that Wet n Wild definitely is the dupe to the Urban Decay. The only difference that I felt with these primers is that the Wet n Wild is a little more thicker than the Urban Decay, and I'll show you here. As far as how the eyeshadow held up, ladies, I'm telling you, amazing. So that's the Urban Decay here, and this is the Wet n Wild. Okay, so this is your Urban Decay and this is your Wet n Wild. Let me try to spread this out a little bit. There's not really much of a difference, ladies. Now, what I will say is that the Wet n Wild feels a little thicker. They're both the same as far as texture goes. They're creamy, they're silky. I mean, there's not really much of a difference between these two primers, ladies. Again, look how well my primer stayed in place, considering that I do have oily eyelids. Nothing has moved. I definitely would pick up some Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer, ladies. This primer is amazing. Again, I've had it on for over 8 hours. Nothing has moved. The eyeshadow has stayed in place. The oils have not penetrated through, and all I can say is that this Wet n Wild primer compared to Urban Decay, you're going to pay about $20 or so for this, and you'll pay about $6 for this. So you decide. Yeah, so those are my final thoughts, ladies. So with that being said, ladies, I definitely would pick me up some Wet n Wild eyeshadow primers. So until my next video, bye.